Hey everyone, welcome back to How to Be a Poser. Today we're going to show you how an actor can do most of the work for you by simply providing an identifiable physical presence for you to imitate. To do that, we're going to be using the Sideshow 6-scale Freddy Krueger figure. Let's get started. Alright, here's Freddy Krueger, still in his box, exactly the way he's going to be coming to you. He comes with a nice assortment of hands, including the exclusive pointed finger hand in this version. Really looking forward to seeing what I can do with this guy, so let's get rolling. Alright, here's Freddy Krueger in all his terrifying awesomeness. Now, in contrast to my usual posing tutorials when I'll say something like, okay, this character is going to be all about attitude, or it's going to be all about dynamics, or it's, you know, something like that. I think with Krueger, you're going to want to go for performance, because that's really all that he's doing in pretty much any of the films is showboating. So what I want to do is I want to get him showcasing the claws, and I just kind of want to use these lines that we talked about in order to create like a framework for his face. Because let's face it, this face is pretty gruesome, and the claws really are the epitome of what Freddy Krueger is all about. So if we can get something, strike a pose that's going to reflect that and just kind of draw your eye right to that, that's going to work out really well for your display. If it's going to really show off the figure and flatter it. What I want to do is I want to have him kind of as if he were crossing his arms. And I think that this figure will do it. Let me see if I can, get this hand to pop off like that. Now don't be discouraged if you're trying to do this and a hand pops off. I mean, they're meant to do that, so it'll go back on. So what you want to do now is just try to get this thing to grip his bicep, because that's the best way that I can think of to keep the fingers from floating off of the top of the arm. This thumb down here is very, very flexible, so kind of spread the fingers out there a little bit, just enough to get that arm up there. Yeah, like that. Move that wrist back, and yeah, this is actually going to be a very quick pose, but I don't think it will be any less effective because of that. Sometimes some of the more effective poses are the simpler ones. So again, just trying to get a little bit of a curve here, just to create a flow. But yeah, just bringing these up, not entirely flat to your angle of view, in this case from the camera. And be really careful that you cover those joints, because nobody likes to look at those if they can avoid it. Okay, as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that his shoulders, something's going on here with his shoulder. I can't tell. I think that it feels like there's some kind of padding in here. So to fix that, I'm just going to kind of work it back down, work the sleeve back down until it gets into kind of a more natural position. It could just be that I have the shoulder bent in a weird way, and it's really kind of what it turns out. It looks like it's a combination of both. It's somewhat the body was tilted back this way, and the sleeve was bunching up, probably because this hand was pushing it up under the armpit. Those kind of things will happen on occasion. I'm sure everybody here has run into something like that before. Every time you make a movement when you're posing, you run the risk of knocking something else out of alignment. That's why posing can be very frustrating, but it can also be very rewarding when all these elements finally fall into place. See, that is some Freddy Krueger showmanship right there. Tug these pants down just a touch and just make sure that they're breaking down here at the ankles. You see this? Before that was riding up and it kind of gave the impression of being high water. That was as a result of me just moving the figure and lifting it, and that just kind of happens over time. So one of the last things you should do once you think you have a pose dialed is to fix those pants and just make sure that there's a break happening near the ankles. Not up here. Just try to mimic the effects of gravity on pants. We've all seen it. Just look down. I'm still not satisfied with this arm. And as you can see, every time I try to fix it, that's throwing his body out of alignment. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a twist to the hand here in a way that kind of puts pressure on that little finger. I think that's it. Freddy Krueger is the boogeyman for modern times. His story incorporates elements of early fables and childhood nursery rhymes, and it does it with a hellish murderous trickster as its primary antagonist. Krueger erases the lines between nightmares and reality to deadly effect. Keep that in your head while you're working with this figure. Think about the performance, and you're bound to come up with something dreadful. In that good way.